Hello and good morning, afternoon, and evening to everyone who has joined today. Thank you for joining the APAC Data 2030 Summit. A big thank you to Quadtrends Media for organizing such a captive event. A big shout out to Ramaya for all her support. I'm Usri, and professionally, I have been a banker for the last 14 years, and it is still counting. Most of these years I have spent in the world of data and analytics. So some of the people I know call me a data nerd. I personally think that is taking it a bit too forward. But in general, truth be told, I do love data and analytics. Currently, I'm based out of Hong Kong and working with HSBC Bank Ltd as a regional senior data strategist for the ASP region within the retail and wealth business. Today it is my privilege to share my thoughts and my take on how master data management, that is MDM, data quality, which would be referred to as DQ across the presentation, drives data monetization. I know 30 minutes is too less for this topic, and I've tried to include all the essentials that I am aware of with a few links so that you could refer to them at a later stage for even more detailed information. Just a disclaimer, I did take a lot of information from all these links too. The flow of the presentation would include three sequences. The first would be where I will define the topic or the subtopic, which can be DQ, MDM, or data monetization. I would also mention the process, the way to implement it, and the benefits that you would get post-implementation. Finally, I will link all of them and prove it to you how they are all intertwined. That is data quality, MDM, and data monetization. I have also included a slide on the challenges that you would face while implementing such a framework. Let's spend a few minutes on agenda. First, what does data mean? I will not read the slide, but explain it with some simple example. As mentioned here, data is factual information used for reasoning, decision making, and etc. To explain with an example, as a teenager, when your parents grounded you, if you had the information how many times they broke the rule when they were a teenager, would it not have been a great factual information for you to win an argument? At least discuss and have the self-satisfaction of I know what you did do. Furthermore, calculate a percentage and tell them your grounded score is less than theirs and make your day. All this is possible because the data that you have around you, you have used it as an asset. Now let's go through the journey of converting a data which is raw to a asset. Before that, just additional information. Where do you think data is? The answer is it is everywhere. It is touching you in every awakened moment and sometimes also during your sleep. Now, all this data that we see tells us that data never sleeps, as shown in the statistics on the left-hand side diagram. But The most important question here is, how valuable is this data? Is it junk? Is it trash or crude? Or is it an asset to preserve? Well, the answer is it is crude when collected. Like you knowing your parents have been grounded 2000 times when they were 15 years old is a good starting point for the argument. But to win the battle, you need to know what information are hidden in these 2000 data points. For example, how many times in a month were they grounded? What were their offenses? Were there any repeat offenses? And etc. Now, these information with some ratio against your numbers will be a knowledge that can be leveraged as an asset. As depicted on the right-hand side pyramid, that the journey of the data starts from being a raw, crude information from multiple sources. It is transformed into information through comprehensive data management. Then translated into knowledge, leveraged as a asset by the vigor of effective analytics. Once it is asset, then it can be leveraged to monetize. And this is the starting point for monetization. This entire journey would be defined as the data strategy. Next, let's see who all are involved. Everybody, starting from analyst who enters the data, IT support who builds the infrastructure, data architect who designs the strategy, data steward who manages the strategy. Business tells us if our strategy is going to meet our goals. Data analytics team tells us if we have the capability to meet our strategy. Both our external and internal customers are affected because one, which is the external customer, gives us value or return on investment, and internal customer tells us how valuable our data is. Let me demystify some of the fundamental concepts that you might be hearing a lot. Data management versus data strategy. Think about your money. If you are just managing it, you are sort of just getting by. But if you're thinking strategically, you're really thinking of the future and trends and how to best manage it strategically. Data is exactly the same. If you have a comprehensive data strategy managed through robust data management, you are going to convert data into a currency. Data strategy also involves other steps, as depicted in the picture. But for this presentation, we would focus on data management, decision making and analytics, the last two being how data is monetized. The other concept I want to explain is data value or health of the data. We will come back to this topic whilst explaining data monetization. As mentioned here, the value of data is a return on investment that the company realizes on the cost incurred while implementing data management. Now, the earlier on in the data lifecycle that you implement the data management, that is, if the data is right the first time entering, then the cost is the lowest. If you want to correct the data or improve the data health at the end of the life cycle, that is when the users are using it, it will cost the most. Now, data's health or value cannot be measured by the volume or the speed or even the data quality alone, but by transparency and accessibility of the data to business. Because if the data is not accessible to business, then what good is it for the organization? It is also dependent on the usage of data to reduce cost. For example, automating a process. Another way of realizing the value is by generating revenue. For example, effective data analytics helps us to acquire new customers. Now on the right hand side, is a diagram which tells us the various ways data can be valuable to us. Because of time constraints, I have updated a link here where you can go in and learn more details on this. Now that we have established the basic concepts of data management and how data creates value for the organization, let us deep dive into our core topic and start with data quality. Let me explain with a use case. There are two banks, A and B. Both of their business goals for 2023 is to increase its credit card market share by 10%. A is a small fintech company or a bank, and B is an established local bank. A's data strategy is to invest in data. That is, it starts with reviewing its current data health to ensure it is of high quality and can be measured. That is, ensuring every time data is collected, it is complete at the first point of entry itself. No incomplete, misspelled, missing customer name. It also captures just-in-time data, which is a new metrics. For example, how many times a customer has purchased with his credit card above $1,000, and it captures it right at the time of purchase. So what A is doing is implementing a data quality framework, whereas B, which has a lot of legacy and huge volume of data, rather than investing in understanding the current health and then improving this huge data's health, decides to invest in engaging a consultant who has promised an AI solution that will predict the purchasing power of the customer using advanced machine learning. Now let's reuse our data journey pyramid to determine who will achieve its goal. A, who is ensuring the base of the pyramid is strong and healthy, or B, who is without understanding the current state of data, investing on high-cost technological solution. Now, miraculously, if B's data is complete and accurate, then we'll get return on investment. Otherwise, it will be a bad solution based on poor quality data. In other words, will be a gamble that B in all probabilities will lose. The next slide tells us the process to implement data quality framework. Let's take the same use case of Bank A. Its data quality framework will be comprehensive if it adheres to the life cycle chart on the right-hand side of the slide and augments all of the 6 dimensions of data quality. That is always starting with completeness, because if customer name is missing, the entire data collected is a junk. It then creates a unique ID for all customers so that customers with the same name do not become a duplicate entry. The next step is to create a consistency, that every source system which collects the data has the same unique ID so that the data can be merged on cloud to get a complete 360-degree view of customer. The purchase date of the data has to be valid format, cannot be MMYY but DDMMYY. Customer name has to be accurate, that is always captured as a character and not 9 hashtags. Finally, the customer purchasing information cannot be 3 days late. It has to be timely and at the time of purchase. Pushing forward, let us now understand what is master data management and then try to establish the intertwining of data quality with MDM. Let me take the example of Bank B again here. Bank B has a lot of historical data as it is an established local bank in US for more than 100 years. Therefore, it also has diverse data collection systems which do not speak to each other. For example, one might be a mainframe, another can be a mobile API. Therefore, both these systems are collecting information for the same customer, but in a unique and disjointed way. How do we know which is the accurate, healthy data? This will be only possible if Bank B develops a reference list of critical data elements where it defines the accuracy and the standardized format of capturing the data. For example, customer name. It should always be in character. The length cannot be infinite. There should always be a middle name or a default value X. This is known as the MDM framework, and the list is the master data list. The diagram or picture on this slide also explains the same in a pictorial manner. Bank B should not stop at creation of this master list. To optimally realize the benefits as depicted on the picture on the right hand side, it should first accept data as an asset and that it needs a comprehensive data management strategy. You could refer to the slide number 19, which is an appendix, to get further details on what a comprehensive data management strategy would look like. Identify a data steward who would own this strategy, manage it, and protect it. Additionally, have an agile and consistent plan to update this master list. If it is not updated, then it would roll back to where it started. A set of inconsistent, incoherent data across the banking journey. Let's spend some time on this slide because this is a slide that will enable us to land smoothly on data monetization, which is the core objective of this presentation. First, let's agree that the significance of data quality and data management, master data management, are apparent. They are joined at the hips. Data management is the method of generating and maintaining data quality, and data quality is ensuring the data's health is good enough to be used to make right data-driven decisions. So let's take the same example of Bank B. Now, it has a lot of data, and the obvious assumption is that most of this data is inconsistent, inaccurate, incomplete. They are not joined. They are not uniquely joined across systems. Now, if it does decide to implement an MDM, because it needs a master data list, two things can happen. One is it identifies that it has a data quality problem and fixes it. Another option is that it cannot establish a standard master list because there are too many data variables, too many ways a data customer name that can be saved, too many ways a date can be saved. So which is the correct one that we need to use? If they do decide to establish a correct one, the automatic result would be that they would also implement the data quality. So we could say that data is virtually worthless and often even hazardous without adequate data quality. The road to MDM starts with data quality, and the discovery of master data profiling analysis is the starting point for any data quality process, just like I explained for it with customer or Bank B. Now, the way Bank B can implement data quality and MDM framework are three types. Implementation of data quality separately, where either MDM is not implemented or is not in consideration in near term. Implementing data quality as a first step and then MDM. This enables data correction before MDM implementation status across all applications. Implementation of data quality following the implementation of MDM. In these instances, a part of the MDM initiative would be to clean up the data. The intelligent guess would be that B chooses either option T2 or option 3 or a combination of 2 and 3, because there is no point of establishing a master data list on a set of junk data. Therefore, to summarize, to ensure measurement of health of the data, as a first step, a robust data quality interwoven with MDM framework needs to be implemented. That is, answering all the questions present on the DQ dimension pie chart on the right hand side, then establishing a robust MDM framework would include that it has all the 5 dimensions of correct policy, process, controls, and audit of this framework in an agile manner. Once we have both these frameworks extensively implemented, can only then we move to monetization, which would eventually lead to generation of the value of the data. This is what we would discuss next. Data monetization is the process where company-generated data is used to create a measurable economic benefit. This can include selling data to third parties or using data internally to improve process or realize new innovation opportunities. Companies practicing data monetization are realizing such benefits like cost reduction, revenue increase, and opportunities for new data-related services. Since the current benefit of monetization far outweighs initial financial and time investment, the business often experiences advantages such as increased revenue or reduced expenses as a result of monetization of data. Companies can also use to construct a slightly less tangible benefit such as new partnership or improved supply terms by sharing their data with third party in a mutually beneficial agreement. We should be conscious that there is a huge data privacy issue or a governance that needs to be encompassing any kind of data sharing with third party. In some cases, organizations realize their data has enough value to begin offering data services to a sufficient number of outside companies. You can take a wild guess which are these companies. You will be always right. Yes, it is Facebook and Google. Now let's go back to our example or use case and let's understand data monetization. To begin with, Bank A, which has already established a good data management program or a strategy of having robust data quality and MDM process, should then go and get buy-in from its senior management and its team, because senior management would provide the budget and the team will help it execute. This buy-in would be the most difficult step for Bank A, because this would be a cultural change that the bank needs to take. It might be a little easier for Bank A because it's a fintech, it's new, it is only seen today's world of banking. But imagine the same thing for Bank B. It would be a tremendous job to work through the bureaucracy and get this budget approval. It might be easier to change the team. But in these cases, what Bank B should do is it should identify a small use case and establish its benefit rather than going a big bang. So the process that or the policy that it has decided to have a AI solution may not fit the bill now. It needs to dial back. It needs to understand its current state of data, find out a small use case which is going to give business benefit, and showcase the entire cycle starting from data quality to MDM to asset creation of the data and finally revenue generation, which would complete the entire data monetization cycle. This is for Bank B. Now let's go back to Bank A. As I said, it might be easier for it to get the sponsorship. The next step, what it should do is, which it has already done by taking the right path in establishing data quality and MDM framework. Once the data is good enough or healthy enough to be used, it should then run it through the vigor of data analytics. For example, build a propensity model which will predict the favorable way of marketing connection with the customer. Now, once it has done that propensity model, its next step is to establish what would be its policy for data monetization. Would it only generate revenue by selling new card products through this new marketing propensity model, or will it sell its clean data with these additional information or metrics derived from analytics to other fintechs as an asset? The right hand side diagram tells us the detailed step of how to monetize your data. So this brings us to the next slide, which tells us what are the various ways to monetize your data. As depicted on the left hand side diagram, I do not need to explain any further, I guess, but just to reiterate, there could be two usage. One is internal, that is, you internally use the data in various ways to generate new revenue. For example, the new product that Bank A has identified in credit card business to sell it to existing and new customers. It can offer additional personal loan based on this new card and its purchasing pattern of the customers. The customers who are using this new credit card might give us reference to get new customers which are completely new to the bank. All of this converts data into asset or asset into a new currency through internal usage. Maybe not immediately, but eventually in future, this is going to give us a revenue which will affect our bottom line. You just have to be consistent, persistent, and patient. This is one of the 3 points that you need to sell to your sponsors because they will not see the results immediately. It's very important that you establish the expectation out of this entire journey. It is not like going out and selling 10 products and coming home. It is a journey. It is going to take time. But once established, like anything else which takes time to establish, it is going to be long-lasting and sustainable. And the most important thing is it's a one-time investment, post which it is going to regenerate revenue. Once you invested in this journey, it is not once that you will get revenue out of the customer, but this new set of customers will open up avenues to give more revenue in the future. Now, externally, what you could do, please bear in mind, there is a lot of data privacy issues that you need to consider before going and exchanging your data or selling it to third party. To conclude, you need to ensure that your monetization framework includes an operating model. It has a robust collection and centralization and analysis of the data. And everything is overarched by the compliance and cybersecurity best practices. Coming to the benefits, I would not explain this slide as this is self-explanatory. Please refer to the links that are there in this presentation to know more about this. This takes us to the concluding slide for monetization. Hopefully over the last 20-25 minutes, I've been able to explain what are the fundamentals before we start with our journey on converting data into an asset and then to a currency. Just to reiterate, it starts with data quality, which is interwoven with the master data management. What these two entails are the strategies to collect the data, the strategies to ensure the data is of good health, and it also helps us to uncover the current state of the data, which then tells us how we would be taking the next steps. Once we have established this framework, what we do next is we measure and determine the current value of the data. Is it worthwhile doing analysis on it? Or do we need to go back and correct our fundamentals more? Once we know that, because knowledge is power, we can move on and determine what we will do in terms of monetizing the data. Do we use it only internally to create or generate new revenue generating avenues, or do we go out and package it and sell it to third parties? In either of these decisions that we take, we are converting data, which is an asset now, into currency. Obviously, just like anything else, all that we have discussed doesn't come without challenges. There are numerous of them. Few of them I have identified and mentioned here. For me, the most important thing or the biggest challenge that any company or any person would face in this new world and era of data is changing the culture which is existing. People want quick results. Data is not a fanciful, quick return giving product. It's a boring, long-term, sustainable product which is going to establish your base over which you will build your blocks. So, plan accordingly. First thing that you have to do is get your numbers right. Ensure that you know your current status. Ensure you know that the cost that you would incur for investment. Ensure that you have done the cost to benefit analysis. Ensure that you have chosen a use case which is attractive to your senior management, which is what is also aligning to their goal. Do your homework right, because we are the torch bearers in this new era. And if we don't do it right, we will end up creating a new establishment without its legs. The rest of the challenges mentioned here, I think, again, is self-explanatory. You could refer to links that I have already provided in this presentation. All of them do have this information present. If you still have any questions, please connect me on LinkedIn, and I hope I can answer all your questions. There are a few more slides in the appendix which you could refer to for even more information. Hope this presentation was worthwhile. It was worthwhile for me. Hope it was also worthwhile for you, and hope it helps you deal with the challenges that you have in data world today a little better. Thank you and have a good day.